Yes, people. So I thought I'd share a few stories on a few different videos about my time over in Nigeria. In January of 2024, I travelled over to Nigeria to compete in a Nigerian combat sport called Dambe. Now, I'm not going to go into Dambe too much on this video, but you can find information about it on Google and all other places in the internet. January 2024, I flown out from Manchester to London and then from London to Lagos. And we landed in Lagos Airport in Nigeria. Now, for those of you who don't know Lagos Airport, it actually has its own little history. You can Google it and I'm sure you'll find out loads of different stories and stuff about Lagos Airport in Nigeria. Boom, we landed in Lagos Airport. So the flight promotion that I was with had a couple of colleagues there that helped me get through immigration and all sorts of other funky paperwork that you have to fill in if you're not a native to Nigeria. We get through all the paperwork and I goes to the baggage claim. Sit in a baggage claim for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. My bag hasn't come round. Fair enough to the people that I was with, they spoke to the help desk and the information desk and we had to fill in some paperwork because my bag was not in Nigeria. Apparently it was left over in London. I didn't really find this much of a problem because I thought, well, it's only clothes that I need and I'm pretty sure I can stop in a shop on the way somewhere and just buy a couple of t-shirts and pants and whatever. So when it got to the place where I was staying, I jumps on the bed and I looks over on the floor where I probably would have put my case, and then I get a text on my phone. It's from a girlfriend and she's saying, Luke, did you have your malaria medication in your carry-on luggage or did you have it in your suitcase that you've lost? Shit, I had it in my suitcase that I lost. So before going over to Nigeria, I done a load of research on malaria and what kind of problems it'll cause me if I did manage to contract it. None of the Google searches come back good at all. In fact, the majority of them that I found and the advice that I was given from health professionals before I flew to Nigeria, all was extremely bad. And in fact, it can be fatal if you do contract it. So this is obviously a huge problem. I spoke to the flight promoter and that evening we went out and we looked for pharmacies and chemists. The majority of chemists were shut because it was the evening and we were flying out to Kanu the next morning, so we had to find some medication that night. We eventually come to a chemist that had sold out of adult malaria tablets, but they had in children's malaria tablets. So the pharmacist that was there just said, look, no problem, just double up on the dose, you should be fine. Okay, mate. So comes away with this child's malaria medication, goes to sleep, wake up the next morning, I started taking the tablets. So it was 2 tablets every day. So we jumps on a plane, flies over to Kanu. Now, we stayed in Kanu for a fair few days. We'd done a lot of media over there. A face-off with the other fighter that was fighting that week, and a couple of interviews and things like that. So it comes to the last day in Kanu and I had my last day of medication. So I spoke to the fight promoter and he said, when we get to Katsina, we can get more of the medication there. We drive through the night from Kanu all the way to Katsina and it's late in the evening, really late. We get to a compound where we're staying and that night I was confident that I was medicated for malaria, but it was the next morning that was going to be an issue. That night I slept and then the next day we are looking around everywhere for malaria tablets. They tried shops and pharmacies and all other places. The issue was in Katsina, it's to the north of Nigeria, and in that area you don't really get British tourists. In fact, I was warned not to go there by the British government. It was a situation where they don't really sell medication for malaria, they only sell treatment for malaria. I didn't know what to do. We got a bit more filming done that day, and then overnight, the crew that I was with kept doing this, and I was like, "What's going on? What are you doing?" And they said one word which scared the living life out of me, which was mosquitoes. So I was like, "Ah, no." So for some reason, I don't know, but I just thought I could avoid the mosquitoes and hopefully get away with not having malaria. Gets back to the compound of an evening after we'd done a lot of filming, and I lies on the bed, and I'm kind of thinking I might be a little bit safer in the actual in a room than being outside. So I lies there overnight, and it's about 12, 1 o'clock, and I hears zzz, and I'm thinking, what was that? And I'm thinking, hopefully it's just a fly or some sort of other insect or whatever. It ends up being a mosquito. So I'm constantly like wafting my head, and I'm thinking, if I get bitten now, that's it, I've got malaria, and all that Google's saying is that you're probably going to die. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I just spends the whole night underneath this like quilt that was like a carpet, and I just put it over my head and just stayed there all night. I wakes up the next morning and I checks my body. I had been bitten a few times. I had little mosquito bites all over me, and yeah, I just thought, I don't know what's going to happen here. Eventually, one of the crew came up to me and said, Luke, my sister works in a place a few miles out. We might be able to get a medication that's meant for something else, but it will prevent you from getting malaria. Do you want to try it? Yeah, why not? I'd rather have a go at not getting malaria than just put all my cards on getting malaria. So we had a plan to get this medication. So the person that came up to me was called Twamzan. He also has a brother called Twamzen. Now, when Twamzan said to me, we can get this medication off my sister, don't worry about it, we're going to get it tomorrow. We were like, okay, cool, no problem. Next day comes and I sees him and I said, what's going on with this medication? And he says, what, bro? And I was like, the medication that we spoke about yesterday, the medication to prevent me getting malaria. Otherwise, you know, I'm in trouble. What's going to happen? I don't know what you mean, brother. I'm thinking, what's going on? It turns out that what I didn't tell you was Twamzan and Twamzen are both twin brothers. So I was speaking to the wrong twin. So speaking to Twamzan, and he says, yeah, we're on the way to get the medication now. He comes back, I take the medication, and I get through all the two and a bit weeks without getting malaria. That night that I was in the compound, the hotel room, the first night that I was unmedicated, that was probably one of the scariest times that I've had over in Nigeria, just because I was certain I was going to get malaria. And as Google said, if you get malaria, it's quite likely that it could be fatal. So in my head, I was a goner, and it was horrible. That's just one of the stories that I had over in Nigeria. If you do go to Nigeria, take your medication in your handheld luggage if you can. If you like this story, there's going to be loads more coming. I've got stories forever. So if you like it, give us a like. If you want to know any questions, drop us a comment and give us a follow, and I'll see you all in the next one.